One team that I remember, I guess I'll tell it now. The team was a team to, I was on a lot, I think all of us were on a lot of teams, but one team that I really remember is the team that I was on with Rudy Tokiwa to see Congressman Charles Bennett, who was a Democrat from Florida, and he was the dean of the Florida delegation. That means he was the senior congressman for Florida. And he was, we looked at his bio, he was a disabled World War II vet. And so, Rudy and, God, my mind, but I know we had at least 2 or 3 additional, World War II vets. And so we were there, we introduced, ourselves and the legislation. And the vets started talking about why it was important to support this bill and what it meant to the World War II vets in particular. And it was, it was a long meeting, and because the vets were really, in that group, were really articulate, but he was kind of stone-faced. And when we left the meeting, we were kind of talking, thinking, God, I don't know, this seems like this might be a hard one. And so we were starting to walk down the hall, and I turned around, and I saw that Congressman Bennett had come out of his side door, and he had pulled Rudy Tokiwa aside, and they were sort of leaning on against the wall, and they had this talking really quietly for a long time. This was in the July historic lobbying delegation. Well, in September, several months later, September 17th was when the actual vote came down. Rudy, has a cane, and so they told him that, he could sit in the special disabled people with disabilities section. And so I didn't want him to be alone, so I went with him to sit up there, and, we were watching the votes, white knuckle time, and we won. So later Rudy called him, and then he said, he called Congressman Bennett and said, Congressman, I just wanted to thank you for your vote yesterday. And the congressman said, well, I wasn't sure I was going to vote with you. In fact, I had my staff draft a statement to oppose the bill and a statement to support the bill. And he says, when I walked in to the chambers, he said, I still wasn't decided. And he says, the young guys kept coming up to me and saying, Congressman, how should we vote on this? And he says, I don't know, let me think about this. And he said, I was standing there, and all of a sudden I saw this reflection, this reflection caught his eye, and he looked up, and it was Rudy's cane in the disability section that was capturing the light, and that reflection hit Congressman Bennett. And he says, and I saw you up there, and I thought, oh, hell, I'll vote for it. And he brought the entire Florida delegation with him. And so when we talk about the power of putting a human face on an issue, this to me is like the example of what, a lobbying and advocacy visit can do.